Taoiseach, last night Eurozone finance ministers indicated that Spain will be given flexibility in its budget deficit targets in 2012. And this follows, as you will know, from the Spanish Prime Minister's rejection of the austerity and deficit targets set by the EU. Now, you, Taoiseach, have an entirely different approach. At every opportunity, you and your partners in the Labour Party have kowtowed to your masters in the EU and assured them that you will not seek any write-off in the totally unfair, unsustainable and acceptable debt that has been foisted on our people by your government and before you by Micheál Martin's government. So, Taoiseach, the second of the annual £3.1 billion promissory note is due in a little over 2 weeks. Depending on which minister is talking, people may have some sense that you are or you are not in negotiations at this time, and there's very little clarity from your government about this. But what is clear is that you're committed to paying the full amount. If you are negotiating, what you're negotiating, it seems, is the interest rate and the time frame, so the people will still have to pay for the greed of Anglo, and this is not acceptable. So, Taoiseach, will you follow the lead of the Spanish government, stand up for the interests of Irish citizens and refuse to pay this promissory note?
Thank you. Taoiseach.
I can't. For the simple reason that you forget actually, you seem to forget, maybe deliberately, that this country is in a bailout programme. Spain is not. So the money to pay the salaries of the guards and the teachers and the nurses and all of the other people in the country here comes from Europe. Spain is not in a bailout situation. It's got excessive deficit and it's got challenges up ahead itself. But it's got to get its deficit level down to 3% by the end of 2013. Ireland, in a programme, has to get our debt levels down to 3% by 2015. There's a big difference here. Spain, obviously, is a very big country with a huge economy, is in a very different position to Ireland. I think it's fair to say that on the change of government, the incoming government under Prime Minister Rajoy examined the situation and found it to be worse than what was originally envisaged. The Spanish government sought to renegotiate its own deficit target when it came into office. It sets out its target is still maintained, though there will be more severe cuts next year. In this case, in our country here, as you're well aware, the country is funded until 2013 in a programme. And the difference is, Deputy Adams, that while we would like to be out of this programme as quickly as possible, the fact of the matter is that we're still in one. So the public salaries of the public servants in the country here and the ATM machines and everything else are funded from within that programme from Europe. Spain is not in a programme. It has excessive debt. And it's got severe challenges itself. But it's set its target for the end of 2013 to be down to 3%, and the Prime Minister and his government expect to meet that. So they're two very different things, Deputy Adams.
Deputy Adams.
Well, Taoiseach, you say you can't. It's rather odd that you have no problem. Gone fab, you're able to bring in stealth taxes, cuts, austerity measures, but when it comes to paying £3.1 billion of citizens' money into a zombie bank, your answer is, I can't. What sort of leadership, Taoiseach, is that?
It's not the question you asked.
And Kenny, Eamon Gilmore,
Gerry Adams did not ask that question.
Micheál Martin are famously becoming the three yes men of Europe. Now, I think you might get some, and I hope you do, you might get some relief. But really, you're kicking the ball down the road. And what's going to happen is that our great-grandchildren are going to have to pay this debt as opposed to our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. Taoiseach, does the Spanish government's unilateral decision and the finance minister's compromise not make a nonsense of this austerity treaty? Is it not clear from this one example that the deficit demands being made in the treaty are impractical? If, as you say, a big country with lots of collateral, cannot pay this, then how can a small state like this, and the difficulties that we're in, expect to pay it? And how can you expect the citizens of this state to make this a constitutional imperative on them?